All right, everybody, it's Tara Boothby from Sojourn Psychology, and I'm with one of my good friends. This is Maksym Tkachenko. I said it as best I
Yeah,
can.
you got it right.
And
You got it right. Thank you.
thank you. Okay, I'm trying. And Maksym and I actually connected a few years ago when the the war in Ukraine really heated up, got really bad. And we've been walking together through this very special journey ever since. It's been quite a privilege to just know Maksym, to be friends with him. And so we talk a lot about war and being psychologists, psychotherapists, and what do we do? So for you, Maksym, I guess, are you okay to tell a bit of a story of how it unfolded that you came from the Ukraine to Lithuania to Canada?
Yeah. So, when the war started, we were on the vacation. So we had like a best time of our lives, like in Portugal. And just next day we woke up in the war-torn country, and it was a mess and a chaos. And well, in a while we decided we had some friends in Lithuania and relatives, so we stopped there just to regroup. And both me and my wife, we are fluent in English, so we decided to move to an English-speaking country. So, and well, I had some at that time when we decided to move, I had some friends and colleagues, including you, in Canada. So we decided to go to Toronto. And in Toronto, I'm here registered psychotherapist qualifying. Well, working here, just few things about my background. I also worked as a psychologist with Doctors Without Borders when the first war started in Ukraine in 2015 and 15. And I also worked in different humanitarian organizations. So, like I worked a lot with people who are affected by war. And well, well, it is hard. I mean, just to answer your question on how to be with people who are affected by war. I mean, first of all, it is hard. It is devastating, heartbreaking how war can affect just fellow human beings and bring so much suffering and disruption to people's life. So, like, and it's like it's hard to be with people who have been through this experience because it is a lot. They are usually in tremendous amount of stress and suffering and pain and grief and loss, and it's just chaos. And well, just sit with them and I acknowledge this is already helpful. And I find that yeah, it's like it's unique for everyone. I mean, there's like people who have different stories, and just stay open, stay curious. That's, I would say, the things that are most helpful for me as a therapist to be with people who are affected and who've been through this amount of trauma and stress. So
That's really
yeah.
helpful, and Maksym, I just hear you say some important things like being open. It's hard to know what to do. And I think one of the biggest mistakes we make in communication is we try to fix things for people. But I
Yeah.
don't know. I mean, for you, you have this very special insight in that you worked with Doctors Without Borders in 2015, frontline, supporting all sorts of people. I'm assuming soldiers as well as civilians, and then to be a person who was so impacted um, that you left your country. So what do you think? I mean, with all of your experience, if somebody just tries to fix it or give like a the perfect answer, what's that
Yeah.
like? What happens? Or
Yeah, I mean, like, usually the thing is, those fixes are not always working. Yeah, we have to find some kind of stability. So just, it's helpful just like a Maslow hierarchy of needs. Just you have to have roof over your head, just food on your table. But beyond that, like finding a job, it's really difficult, and to fix it, it would be hard, and especially in like for a person in a new country without, usually people don't know the local language, and it's one more barrier. And well, those people are like, and like they're constantly in this fixing mode, because there's one thing after another, and you're always fixing like lots of things, and you have to like solve lots of problems. And well, just like we as a therapist, where we can help them slow down, and just take a moment and acknowledge that it is hard, it is difficult, and just turn to your, like, for a quick second, just, well, how does it feel for you to be
Yeah.
here right now, like under this amount of stress and pressure? And because, like, if we'll give, yeah, like helping fix problems, like just giving an advice, it's what's the easiest thing to do, because we can, as therapists, we can feel better after the session, that yeah, we give this, like, I know, like exercise or advice, like, or a referral. But at the end of the day, if people like, it's hard to do those things, because, well, there's lots of moving parts, and at the end of the day, they can feel like, well, like just they failed. For example, they didn't do the homework, and it puts even more pressure sometimes. Just so, yeah, it's, well, we are usually, as a human being, it's easier to like jump to the fixing mode, and it's harder to stay in with the experience.
Yeah,
I mean, like as a therapist as well.
yeah, sorry, I kind of cut you off there, but I mean that fix it mode, and you and I, oh man, Maksym, you have I think that the correct term is busted your ass since you like getting from the Ukraine to Lithuania to Toronto, and then once you were here, I felt like I had a bit of rose-colored glasses of like, oh great, now you'll just become a psychotherapist. And it's been so hard. Like you and I haven't had good answers. I haven't had any answers for you. And you've been working excruciatingly hard. I don't think it registered for me how hard it is for somebody like to come to a new country as you've done, and the amount of work. So if I'm like, oh, why don't you just have a bubble bath? You should have a bubble bath, Maksym. And meanwhile, behind the scenes, all of the things that you've had to do to get your psychotherapist standing.
Yeah. I mean, having some sprinkles of healthy optimism, like, and just, seeing that hope that it will be okay at some point. So you will get there.
Yeah.
This is also good, yeah, but just in the moment, you have to, test the reality and say, yeah, it will be better. Like, we don't know when, but things will be calmer, and like you'll get there, but I don't know when. But yeah, like pumping the tire,
Yeah.
with this optimism, like just small sprinkles of hope. So yeah, it is
Yeah.
also helpful, but like the hard thing is just not just jump to this fixing mode, and just
I
give
love that.
simple advices. That's not gonna work. Yeah,
Yeah,
that's true. You're right.
I want you to I want you to clarify this concept that you've just put out there, that what is the difference between sprinkles of hope and people trying to fix it? Because that sprinkles of hope seems really, really important.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. That's true. I mean, like, it always gets better in one or another way. Like, and just to see, well, it reminds me of Viktor Frankl's work. So when there's something when you can work towards, and you have like an idea or a goal or something in your mind that can keep you going no matter what, no, what their circumstances. and just acknowledging that it is hard, it is difficult, but you have like there is something that uh just keeping you up, or like I mean that is keeping you going to that one, and just as a therapist to just find that this thing, it can be difficult for like even with people who are like in a stable, I would say, environment conditions. But yeah, I mean, yeah. So sorry if I'm lost track of my mind.
No, I
This
love what you're
is
saying, Maxim. This is so important, like the sprinkles of hope piece. And it's funny you said Frankel because that's who I was thinking about. And as I'm listening to you, I'm thinking, uh, there's all these beautiful earlier existential theorists, but existentialism isn't just about crisis and existential turmoil. Frankel's work was really about the shift, like hope and meaning. And Frankel was beautiful with very, very hopeless people, suicidal people. It would say, I've lost all hope in life. And Frankel would say, well, what might life expect from you? It's really delicate work, those sprinkles of hope. And I'm wondering too, because there's been so many times when I haven't known what to say to you with all of this amazing effort that you've been making that I haven't had to. But I think that's something we could do is to ask people like, how might I like, is there anything I could do to help sprinkle some hope here? Or could I lend some of my
yeah.
hope
I would
to
just
you?
like, I mean, yeah, just by acknowledging that, well, I don't know what to do. Like, just as a therapist, I know I don't have a perfect advice for you,
Yeah.
but like, how about what brings you joy? What brings your like, what keeps you, going? And uh, well, especially in the way we get, when this is something that is aligned with like the client's values, like I know, like the value of helping the people. Yeah, like for example, I know a lot of Ukrainian therapists who moved to Canada. They lost their ability to practice because of the
Yeah.
block of regulations and laws. And I see a lot of those people are they starting like working in like community centers or newcomer centers. They're trying to like do counseling or case work, like work as a case workers, for example. So they're still doing what they love. So they like helping the people in need, but just in a different way. And yeah, I guess just to see what are the values of our clients, of people who what they value in life, and I'll just help them understand how they can move in that direction, even in this like extremely difficult time.
Right.
So
I like that too, and like you and I have empathized for immigrants, refugees, or people with work visas that are in Canada. And what you and I have talked about is how hard it's been for you and how we can lament like why people might give up their profession when they come to a new country just because of again how much you busted your ass to get where you're at. It's been excruciating for you. And so, again, those sprinkles of hope when, from attachment perspective, that hearing somebody, seeing somebody, and knowing someone, when we make a new friend who's brand new to Canada, to know who they are and where their giftedness lies. And that's
yeah,
something to try and encourage them in of like, how can I help you remember who you are in your own pace.
yeah, yeah. Yeah, this is true. And one other thing that's, well, especially working with refugees and immigrants, I would be, cautious about that. We have this expectancy from from the society that like good immigrants, they will like take the local culture, they will
Yeah.
assimilate and absorb everything, and they like I don't know, it doesn't matter, like Canadian, Portuguese, so Germans, they will come to this country and they will behave in the same way as other like local people. They will give up their culture, language, and also lots of people are changing their first names because it is hard to pronounce it, and just to be more to make it more easy for other people. And just by moving to other countries, those people already give up lots of things. They have to, lots of loss. They've been through lots of losses. And just by, being more culturally aware and just seeing like different perspectives, like they can be still involved in their like culture from the first countries locally in different countries. And this is why I love Canada, because here's like, it's at least in Toronto, it's so diverse, and you can find like any like restaurant that was like that can like cook the food from your home country, and
Yes.
like no matter where you're from. And the same goes for like support from newcomers. It's like plenty of centers that can keep you connected to what you like, what you're used to, and not to be under pressure that you have to give up like your values or like change your habits because you're just moved to a different country that has different culture. So yeah, I just wanted to bring this
And
out.
those are the things that matter, like something that you've said to me as well is like the isolation and the pressure, right? So that and if you can think about some of your own experience with being disconnected from your family that's still in Ukraine, and all of those painful parts of those relationships, holidays, birthdays, all these things. But that again, the people in the food industry, is like if you're making food for people from your own people group that is not Canadian poutine. You're making something other than poutine. But that is comfort. That food is something that evokes such memory. The taste is something that can really calm down our central nervous system in a powerful way. So it's actually like such a beautiful, important reminder. And then so I guess too, yeah. So what do you think this piece about like the isolation, the pressure, the disconnection for people when they're fleeing war circumstances or harsh environments to come somewhere else?
Yeah. So I mean, well, they are usually, the thing is, well, yeah, as you mentioned, there's lots of grief and loss for like people who moved to different countries, and especially when this is like forced migration, that when people had to move, not because they want to move, they make like the ability to take a decision was taken from them. And I mean, well, what I find most helpful is just, in sessions or just talking to people, just, be with them and like switch to like be focused on what's important for them just right here, right now. And it's different, it's difficult maybe from this psychotherapy work we used to do, like was like a different degree we have. And so it's more like a, just what's the next thing? Yeah, okay, so how I can be here with you, what can we do for you? And yeah, if you're like feeling lost or that's okay. It's okay to, to grieve that your family is far away from you, and it's hard to, to celebrate like Christmas or New Year or any other holiday, and just, being there with someone.
Yeah.
I think it's like simple answer to would be simple answer to any question, just, because this is so powerful, and it's on one hand, and on the other hand, it's so difficult to do because we always want to fix things. We always want to, it's just to we want to help, and it is so difficult to help with someone who was in really like dire conditions or like in dire situation. So yeah,
Yeah, I love that.
I
And
mean, like just expressing the support and the help, it is already a lot.
yeah, and keeping it simple. Again, acknowledging these like in somebody who's in a war zone, their stress level is, their lid is flipped, right? Like their adrenaline, they're out of their window of tolerance. Somebody who's fled, it's unpredictable how long their stress, their lid is flipped. And you
Yeah.
know, like for you, you have so many supports, and it's just been like divine how like it's been so hard for you, and yet you've had so many supports, and there's other people who have not. I like
Yeah.
this thing you said, Maxa, very, very much. That noticing that people in the war situation, Ukraine, Israel, Gaza, even the people in Russia who don't agree, you know, a decision was taken from them. And I mean, that that is an epiphany for me when I hear you say that. To remember this, here's this person that a decision was taken from them. So if I'm trying to fix it, I'm taking more decision away.
Yeah.
It's not my right to fix something for somebody else ever.
Yeah.
Hmm.
That's, I mean, yeah, that's right. And I mean, just like we have, when we as a work as a therapist, when we are working as a therapist, we have like a bigger goal and we're trying to reach it, and just, you know, to reevaluate and give the people the decision in the session, in the room with users. So what do you want to work today? And emphasize that this is already like, this is helpful. This is a lot for someone who lost their ability. Well, I wouldn't say like the ability to decide, but this would not exactly their decision. And it was, yeah,
Well,
sort
they
of
were,
taken from them.
I mean, it could feel like their ability was all of the things, like the individual loss of power. And that's where the curiosity again, and these relate, it's relationship, it's being slow and within our own window of tolerance of like, what can I give here, what can I sign up for in a relationship. um you know, it wouldn't have worked with you and I if I said, Maxim, I'll give you 3 hours of my time, give you 3 hours of my time. We decided, we decided we were going to be friends and colleagues,
Yeah,
and that's
yeah,
what's worked, that we decided to lay a foundation.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. That's true. That's true. Well, when you have some sort of stability, and like, just the first time we met, we decided to like we will meet for like 4 or 5 minutes, more like 5 more times, for example. Yeah. And this is like one of the things. So now we have like the schedule. There's something like
Yeah.
there's it's like determined that we will meet at least like 4 more times, then manage how many. So like having just this kind of like laying this ground rules and just having this stability,
Yeah.
this is also like really, really important, because, well, it is any antidote to any chaos, like order and like
Yeah.
rules. Like
Yeah.
the first thing, like any child psychologist will, or like therapist will like say, they will go like about the schedule, about like how does the look of how does the day of your child looks like, and just, well, what we did is like as a psychologist, what is it like, what is a team of the psychologists in Warzone, like we were always trying to help people to have at least some sort of certainty. If you can't plan for the next day, okay, let's plan for today. What you will do right after the session, you have like 15-20 minutes. There's no real, or like no imminent danger. There's no like loud sounds, what people called it. There's no shelling, no stuff like that. So okay, you have 15 minutes, like 20 minutes. What can we do in this
Right.
window? And for kids, it's the same. Like just be up at same time, have a breakfast at the same time, go to school. And it's also always different, like for people who live in like really close to the front lines, and for those who can live farther away. it's always a different experience because I mean, like, uh, yeah, I'm drifting away, but I'm just want to mention this is always different experience.
Yes.
And when I was back in Kiev from the front lines, so it's like people are going to restaurants and they have their regular lives and like just 6-7 hours from Kiev, there's like horrible things happening. People are suffering, and it's just always important to be curious, stay open, curious, and work on our any judgment assumptions, any biases we might have.
Yeah.
I think this is the biggest thing. This would be more like most helpful
And to
for us as
realize,
therapists and like just for human beings.
yeah,
Yeah.
I appreciate like for the people who are going through this unbelievable torment of being exposed to war, or having family members that are still at risk in Ukraine, in Gaza, in
Yeah.
Israel, all these places that are suffering immensely, in Africa, like there's all the wars that aren't even being talked about. But also to realize that the pain when we see somebody just doing their normal, they're going for a dinner, and how painful that is for somebody who's still, their country is torn by war. Um,
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
and
That's
that's
true.
all these very, very important things. So the uniqueness, the individual experience, the isolation, the pressure. I also am curious, Maksym, because you have worked with soldiers, and I have like a lamentation for the soldiers right now, a gratitude for our Canadian soldiers, a gratitude for the soldiers who are trying to stop evil. There's the soldiers who are trying to find our way to peace. And I'm wondering for you, because you have experience supporting soldiers as well. And I just don't know. I'm curious how you see their identity and their unique story, and how we can show love towards the men and women who are fighting for us.
Well, I would say just expressing your gratitude and just saying how important this is. Like just thank them for their service that they were there. They like and like as usual, don't say don't ask them dumb questions. Like people sometimes tend to do that, but just being here there with them for them, just say thank you. I know there's like some like recommendations if you want to express like a gratitude, just uh make this gesture and just bow your head a little, and just if you feel like it's not appropriate to say something, if you see someone in a uniform, a person who has some kind of injury or amputation, and it's likely because of the war. This is important, and the same goes for refugees, for other people. Like it was really like supportive and inspiring to see Ukrainian flags in Europe because, like, yeah, there's someone who's thinking about us and thinking about people who are going through this, and like just even if you're looking from your own window, just wave and say like just this really simple things, but this is so important that those people will not be forgotten, and um that other people will understand that it was hard for them, it is hard for many of them, and this is something that other people value as well.
Yes.
So
I
yeah.
like that. And it's what I hear you saying, and it's just, it gives me peace in my heart, is that all people are people, and that when we look at the soldiers, it's important for us to remember their own humanity. And so I like that, like even this hand gesture where I'm like, I've never thought of that to show like my heart, and that means something in the army culture. That is something, and it's small, but it's big. Because they're people, they're somebody's child. They might have a
Yeah,
spouse and children and all of these things. So these are living, breathing people who are trying to
yeah,
help.
yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, this is even the war zone. It is like unique, difficult, and it's hard experience. I still remember like it feels strange when you're just one day you're in the war zone and like 6 hour like train ride, and you're like in completely peaceful and different city. Yeah, it's different now because whole Ukraine is a war zone,
Yeah.
basically, in one way or another. But uh, just acknowledge how different, difficult this experience is, and just
Yeah.
be there and say thank you, and yeah,
That's helpful. So there's all these again, when we talk about war and we really notice the impact, the trauma impact on people in the country, people who are fleeing country, people who are serving and protecting country. They're people, and everybody
yeah,
can feel the pressure of the situation, can feel isolated by it. But we all belong. And one of the ways that
yeah,
we
yeah,
can support people is just to remember that they belong with us. There's no them, just us.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, just to break this isolation. Belonging is extremely important.
Mm,
That's just some even strangers, random strangers know that it is hard for you. And this is what breaks this isolation, this chaos, that there is some other people that wish you well, and that's like just acknowledging that it is difficult, that it helps to slow down for like doesn't matter if it's like refugees, soldiers, veterans. Um, yeah, just helping to slow down them and just say, yeah,
yeah.
I know that it is hard. Yeah,
And,
just saying thank you, and
yeah. And I think too, it's like I go
belonging is
back
important.
to your beautiful comment about sprinkling hope. And I mean, whenever possible, sprinkle hope. And whenever somebody just doesn't have the capacity, it's too painful, they need to be angry first, then maybe we can just hold on
Right.
to that hope for them until they can borrow it back and hold on to it for themselves.
Yeah, and I mean, like, let people be angry.
Yes.
That's if they're not harming others, so why not to be angry? Because yeah, it is difficult, it is hard, but anger is a like it's surface emotion that helps us to move into frustration. And yeah, we need a place somewhere to just to be angry, and why not to be angry in a therapy session?
Yeah.
And with the therapist, we don't have to like jump to other things,
Right.
and it is okay to be angry. Yeah, this is frustrating.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well, and
yeah,
valuing. So there's all these, again, it's that like the
yeah. Like
wisdom.
balancing, I would say balancing between like staying there with Glenn who wants to be angry, and just sprinkle some hope at the end because of this anger outburst, and just saying, yeah, this is okay to be angry. And
Yeah.
yeah, it will be better, but there will
Yeah.
be lots of difficult things,
It's okay to
just
be angry, or like thank you for
yeah,
being angry. Thank you for letting
yeah,
me
yeah,
know you're angry.
yeah.
Yeah. The
Well, I
priv
mean, even being angry is like this is people are like it's always better than I think than when people are just going blank and they just do not react, because it's always we were trained to pay the most attention, like in sessions, and the meetings to those who are the quietest there. And we usually, when I work with Doctors Without Borders, and we were basically trained to spot people who are so quiet and calm and help them just leave a card or a note that they always can reach out, because
Yes.
well, I would be surprised if someone won't be angry because of all this situation.
Yeah. Yeah. And
And
to check in on people and just because it's so emotionally impacted. If somebody looks like they're doing okay, that can be a sign that they're actually doing worse than the person sitting next to them.
yeah, that's true. Like just check in, and I would say even check in twice,
Yeah.
because it's not in our culture to be open with, even with a therapist. It's harder to open and like,
Yeah.
yeah, are you okay? Okay, okay, I'm fine, fine. But like, are you? Are you really okay? And then, well, usually they will open up,
Yeah.
especially males. So like, it's hard for guys to be, instantly open and just to drop or off this like all this guard, and be open and even angry.
Yes, I agree. And even the difference between like Canadian emotionality and then my new understanding of, like Ukrainian, Russian emotionality of like, like just our friendship and how we've learned the differences of how one culture group explodes or avoids feelings and the other culture group explodes and avoids feelings, like it's
Yeah,
all the
yeah,
curiosity to know the culture of the person we get the privilege of loving and being with. So before, like, we should wind things down here. Any other sort of thoughts, Max? And
yeah,
this is important and it's so personal to you. So I appreciate all the personal things you've shared with me. And then this is a gift, and hopefully there's people who will find benefit in hearing you speak about yourself and how you work with clients as well.
yeah. Well, just want to thank you for having me and for this I opportunity and idea to record
Yeah.
our meeting, and just thank you for being there, and for helping me as well. So, um, well, I think this is like things we talked about. This is extremely important for us, just to stop for a second and just not rush into this fixing mode. I think it would be like the biggest message is to be with other human beings, to be with other human beings who are suffering. This is big. This is like, it is so helpful. It is already like a lot.
Yeah. Yeah, thank you. And I mean, it's something we can do is get slow, get present, and be with people.
Yeah,
I will put Maxim's information in below in the cyber wherever, down below. There's that thing. And Maxim is wonderful if you're in Canada and you feel like Maxim has a skill set here that's very special. So if you want to contact him, I think you can work with anybody in Canada, can't you?
well, almost was anybody. It depends on the province, but most of
Okay.
the provinces are unregulated for they can
For
work. At least in
psychotherapists?
Ontario, Alberta, yeah, British Columbia, I can work, and there's plenty of people I would say who might be curious to know more about that. Just thanks. Yeah,
Yeah.
thank you so
Awesome. So
much.
I'll put Maxim's info. He's a good friend of mine. I'm impressed. I know his work well. And I look forward to continuing just seeing all the awesome things where the places you're headed, Maxim, because you're a strong contributor to our emotionally focused therapy family
Thank
and
you.
all the passions you have. So we're so blessed to have you. And we'll just say peace.
Thanks.
Take care of yourselves, everybody.
Bye bye.